Hey everyone, this is Nyashish and welcome to another video. In our previous videos, we have talked about version controlling and entity mapping. You can check that out from the description. I'll give the link below. But in this video, we are going to see how these two videos are significant and what are those two features and how these are significant to this particular video is basically let's say I have this rule and as you know that we have now multi-environment, we have version controlling, which we can do it from here, right? But the problem was, let's say I want to trigger a specific version of this particular rule that you can see in the screen. So what I can do right now, and let's say current version is draft, how I will toggle this draft version to a published version, and I can call a specific published version of this particular rule. Same goes for workflow. So you can see that now this multi-environment tab is right now here, and you can just click on this particular buttons, I would say, the draft. If you click on this draft button, you can go into the version control tab and you can see this draft version here. But right now, let's talk about the published version or the production version. Let's say I have different published version. For this rule, I have 3 published versions. So I will click on this 3 published, this publish button, and I can see the published version I currently have. Now that is not the problem. The problem is basically if I want to trigger this rule, which version or which rule will be triggered, or which version of this rule will be triggered. So basically the current version is basically a draft version, right? So if I copy this URL for API, I'm saying for API, if I copy this URL and I am not writing any environment, any version, so by default it will trigger the latest published version. It will not trigger the draft version that I can see right here. It will trigger the latest published version, that is this one, right? This is the latest published version or the production version. So it will trigger this particular version of the rule. It will not trigger the draft version of the rule. But let's say I have specified the environment, but I have not specified the version, right? So I have, let's say, specified the environment as staging. So if I have multiple staging versions, like if I have published another rule and then another version and then created another draft, then that latest draft version will be triggered. For this case, this draft version will be triggered because there is no another draft version or staging version. So this particular version will be triggered. Now let's say I have given the version as well as the environment. So then that specific version and that specific environment will be triggered, and that will be fetched and executed. That particular version will be executed. So how will I change this from this UI? So if you go to the setting, if you go to the trigger setting, and if you go to this gear icon, you can see that the by default version here, because the version is draft, here it is saying that the environment is staging. Now if I want to let's say trigger this latest production version, what will I do? I'll click on this preview button. It will open to a new window, and from here, as you can see, now I am in the production version and the version is 0.30. Now I will click on this gear icon again, and here you can see that the environment is now production and the version is specified as 0.30. Now if I want to change this, I can directly change the version from here. Obviously if you write any invalid version, then it will again go to the same loop. It will run the latest version of it, so that will not work. So you have to change the version as given here. So I can change it to 0.20, 0.10. So those versions will be executed. Same goes for the webhook. So if I change it to webhook, you can see that for staging, here I can see that this is what the base URL is, and the environment is sorry, so the base URL is this. You can see it is specified as staging, and this is the base URL. But if I go to the production version of this particular rule, and I'll do the same thing, I'll go to webhook. Now you can see that the production tag is now added here. Also, the version of this particular rule is also appended to the URL. So this is how you can copy this base URL and you can run this specific version of this rule. Now the same thing happens for workflow as well. I'll close this one and let's go to the workflow settings. And in the workflow, as you know, we need to go to the trigger option. Now I don't have any published rule, published workflow for this one, but I have a production level, workflow for this one. So I have one published version, and if I click on edit, let's say, now I have a draft version. So I have one draft version, one published version. So I will click on this trigger node and I will go to the settings. Now you can see that here the environment is again staging and there is no version mentioned here, right? Same goes for webhook. The environment is staging and there is no version appended here. But if I go to this publish button and I preview the published workflow, then I'll do the same. I'll click on this trigger node, I'll click on this settings node, and here the environment is said as production and the version is 0.10. Same goes for webhook. Here the version is 0.10 and the environment is production. So this is how you can utilize, or you can trigger specific version of a rule or a workflow, and you can use it wherever you want, and you can utilize the version control and the multi-environment feature like that. So thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the video, and the other videos are linked in the description, so you can check them out.